Beyond gold, stocks, and real estate, a new question is emerging. Can Nigerian art provide inflation-proof returns? With works by, Ben Adeyemi, El Nasri, and Oluwole Omofemi selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions, both at home and abroad. Nigerian art is gaining recognition, not just as culture, but as capital. Now we ask, can art really serve as a hedge against inflation, and what risks should investors be aware of? Joining us for this conversation, we have Dr. Kunle Adeyemi. He's the creative director, Kunle Adeyemi Studios. Joining me right here in our studio. Great to have you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you so very much, Larry Williams.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to Channels Television again. You have actually been propagating the art.
Yeah, we don't play with art in channels.
The channels.
Especially with Melinda.
Yeah, Melinda. I remember the days of Joe Musa, Dapo, Adeni, who are the pioneer editors of Art House. And now Melinda, and he has actually taken it to a different level entirely. So art is another opportunity for investors to hold their money as well as be able to make gains on it, in the later. So we have in art, we have nursery market, we have primary market, and we have secondary market. Nursery market, if, for instance, I designed that myself. Nursery market, for instance, is when a collector visits the artist in the studio and says, oh, I like this work, I want it, and then he takes it, and years later, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, he offers it for sale, and that it goes. The primary market is when the art that's the artwork now, is in the gallery, and then it's bought from the gallery, and then by the collector or by the art dealer, and keeps for a while, and at the end of the day, makes it out for sale at the secondary market. Secondary market is the auction market, where, some works are put on lots, and then at that, people start bidding, for it, and before you know it, the prices of art.
And when people bid,
bid,
prices could go really high.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's look at some data here. Yeah. I did mention, Ben Adeyemi, yes. 1917, 1994. He had a sculptor, sold for about £200,000.
That's right. That's the iron now.
Right.
Yeah, very popular iron.
And a Tutu portrait.
Tutu portrait, yeah.
Sold for £1.2 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
And, definitely when you look at the cost of, I guess you don't look at cost of production when it comes to art. I guess it's the cost of the art, the mind.
That's right.
That produces that art.
Very well, yeah.
So is that what we're still seeing, right now? Is Nigerian art still in high demand? It is.
Is it because there had been a build-up, of the Nigerian art? Of course, Nigeria leads in Africa. I can assure you that, particularly in the art. Each time I go out of the country, I see Nigerian art and Nigerian artists are doing well abroad. And so your record is very right, very, very correct. And in recent time, we've had some auction houses in Nigeria. For instance, one of the major auctions is the Art House, Art House Contemporary. And they started this over time, and they have built up, the energies. They have built up the revenue. For instance, an artwork is collected, I won't say peanut, but at least for a small sum. And then with all the fizzy, with all the visibility given to that art, the price of that art shot up. And so artists have actually been making some gains, as well as the auction house, and as well as the galleries. So it's a value chain, even material dealers, So some of these things I can tell you from 2016, Art House, had about 175 million naira, and when we're talking about it's just the fee, the value of the art is different, but what the organization made, 176 million in May alone. They do twice a year, May and November. And so in November of that year, they made so much, 2017, they made about 160 in May. And then in 2014, November, in May is 124 million. And so the December one, everything, is there. So what am I trying to say? I'm saying that by the time people invest in art, just like gold, just like some of this talk, know, in fact, as a matter of fact, it shot higher. I have an experience. Some works were given to Osagi, the one artist in Benin, late now. He was a sculptor, and the works were taken to a collector. And the man said, well, let me just buy it for buying sake, and the man bought 4 pieces for 250 each, 250,000 naira. Honestly, the following 2 weeks, there was this auction call, and such work, and I'm talking about 10, 15 years back, and that work, I won't mention the name of the collector, but the issue is that work, one of the work, was sold for 5 million. That same in 2 weeks.
5 million naira.
From 250,000 naira to 5 million. Can you imagine
that's quite an appreciation.
Exactly.
Right there. But
so the same thing.
One thing is, I'm just imagining I'm an investor now, and I'm a novice, when it comes to art.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to identify art that would appreciate,
that's right,
in the future. Are there advisors,
yes,
out there that could, point you in the right direction, where you should which art you should actually buy?
That's right.
If you're looking to invest. Do I have to be an art enthusiast to play in this market? Or can I just be an art novice and still make money?
No, okay, great. Well, art particularly is an inbuilt thing. You must love it. You must be able to know that there is going to be, the interest must be there. And you must engage consultants. Some artists that are grown in the profession. You must engage some galleries that actually will tell you the truth about it. And then there are some artists whose works are really, really hot in the market. May not happen to us. Some artists are late, and then their works start shooting up. I'll give you an example. Van Gogh never sold, he just sold one work in his lifetime. But when he died, his work shut up, the work that he has produced. I was in the US in 1990. One of his work, the Sunflower went for $82.5 million at that time, And then there's another painting he did, Dr. Sringeti. Dr. Sringeti went for so much money then. So there are investors who will advise, there are collectors, there are consultants who will advise. I said, this artist is doing it well in the market, and we know them. For instance, in Nigeria, it's a school. You talk about Yusuf Grillo, you talk about Onobra Peya, you talk about Ben Ewon, you talk about El Anasui, you talk about some other, and the other younger ones are coming too. Abiodun Laku is there, and some of the other younger ones, they're actually coming in the market. Some of my colleagues now don't sell in Naira. Sorry, we spend Naira here, but they rate their work in dollars because by the time you get that international acclaim and international...
But that's good because that's attracting foreign currency.
It is.
Into the country.
Dr. Kokola is right now in that realm. He's a young man in Ife, finished from the University of Ife. Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife. And he's doing well all over the world. And so many other young Nigerian artists too. So art is a veritable area for investment. My worry is that our government, they are not tidying up. You need to put the right professional in the right place, and so that we can actually work with these parameters. We can work with these maxims. We can work with some of these areas.
But we have investors that like to, turn assets into, make them liquid fast.
That's right.
And, when it comes to art, it seems it's not that liquid.
Okay.
Yeah, because for you to
I won't agree with you.
Well, in my viewpoint,
yes, I've just told you of somebody for 2 weeks, 250,000 naira to 5 million. I've just told you now in 2 weeks.
Is that like the norm? When you're trying to sell art?
Well, a business is up and down. It's not, if it's the norm. Or
is it like selling land? You have to find that way to get that buyer.
It is in that realm. Land, real estate, and all that. It's in that realm. That's the closest comparison. So when you buy the art from a good source, and you have provenance on it, provenance is very important. how the art is made, who is the artist, and all that. And not just all art anyway. You know, the art is built by such names that are, purposeful in the field.
All right. So, what are you seeing, going forward? We're still trying to, beat inflation.
Yes, right.
Most investors and consumers alike, at this time. What do you see for Nigeria's art scene, going forward? Do you see the volume of works coming up increasing? Do you see us, getting more foreign exchange, for most of the arts that are being, sold abroad? What are you seeing for that industry generally?
Yes, it's possible that we beat inflation through the sales of art. Anywhere in the world, it's done. Like I told you, it's just like gold. When you think you have some money and you want to keep it, you don't want to keep it with this banking transaction of 10% or whatever, and it's safer, very, very safe, because your art is with you. Your art is kept somewhere. You can see it on a daily basis. So when the opportunity comes and the artist, is on the top, then you shoot it out at the secondary market, and it becomes money for you. So it's actually a veritable area of investment, both locally and internationally. I mean, you just read about Tutu going for 2-point-something million pounds sterling. I mean, 20-something million pounds. And investors are buying it. Now, the rate or the value of Tutu now is higher 4-5 times, than when it was bought initially.
And how easy is it to discover undervalued art before it becomes popular and expensive? As an investor, how do you identify them?
Okay, like I said, the artists must actually be in the field for a long time. Artists have their low times, their medium times, and their high times. And so when you invest in such artists, you are building that investment. You are building that future for your collection. You are building something that will be strong and that will be humongous in future. And so those are some of the things. For instance, again, I will mention here, the artists like Bruce Onwakweya, Ben Enwonwu. If you have them, you have gold already. El Anatsui, if you have them, you have gold. Abiodun Laku, you have it, you have gold. Some of these other, Kolade Oshinowo, Dele Jegede, some of these great artists, and some of them are still much around. Abami Baba, some are late and some are, and then recently we had the printmaking grandmasters. We had Uche Okeke is late, but their works went up. Professor Wamboje, Papa Ayebusi, these artists have actually, so the works that they have produced, arts don't tarnish.
Right.
When you keep it, for instance, the Mona Lisa created Leonardo da Vinci created Mona Lisa.
Right.
Mona Lisa up to today is
popular.
Still being looked at. People still take ticket to go and watch it. Now, what happened to recently? Now, some of our collected works, some of those looted works from Nigeria in 1897, Benin, those looted works were in museums and galleries abroad, and people go there to pay money to see those works.
Right.
Now the Oyibos feel that, okay, let's return some of these works to them. They brought it back to Nigeria, after so much time.
I guess that's a story for another day.
It's a story for another day.
At this point,
but that's the value. The value is high. It doesn't. 1897, those works were done by our unknown artists, and today the works are still being valued highly.
Fantastic.
And Nigerian art is, I can tell you.
All right, watch me hit the art market now to go and find my own treasure. At this point,
I want to encourage you and anybody that is listening to us globally to please look for the Nigerian art or the Nigerian artist that is good enough that would encourage your investment now and in future.
Fantastic.
And again, Channels Television, I want to again, give a lot of appreciation to, I'm representing the artists here, a lot of appreciation to what you're doing to the visual art and then the other areas of art.
Fantastic.
Promoting, and so it won't go down.
Thank you so much.
Channels will not go down.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Kunle Adeyemi,
and Larry Williams will not too.
Amen. Kunle Adeyemi Studio,
yes,
the creative director. It was great having this conversation.
Yes, I was actually the former dean of the School of Art Design and Printing, Yaba College of Technologies. I retired there a year ago. And I'm still, by the grace of God, doing well.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Larry. I'm so appreciative of this.